All right. Morning, everybody. Welcome to Think Sales Live with Jeff and I, and we're both excited. This is a true virtual post-corona world. Jeff and I are in our cars, and Terry's in his office, and we got Grant Cardone in the background, the 10X rule. Right. Terry, thanks for taking time to talk with us today. I love what you do because, since you started your company and you're the CEO of Core Solutions Group, cost segregation and tax incentive experts, you have helped your clients save $1 billion. And I know that grows on a daily basis. And so anybody who's listening now or in the future is probably thinking, if he saved people over $1 billion, there's got to be a couple shekels Terry and his team can save us. And so before we get started, I think that people could use a layman's term definition of what cost segregation and tax incentive expert actually means. So I'd love for you to kind of define that, because I think it'll help lay a foundation of what you do, and then we'll talk about you as a business person and owner as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for having me on the show. So just, real layman's terms, the federal government, man, they have a lot of money to stimulate the economy. And the things that I've been doing have been in the tax code since 1969. Very few people really utilize these strategies. It still kind of blows my mind that this money is available. It's just not easy to get access to. So the first one I'll touch on is the cost segregation. A lot of people always ask me, Terry, exactly what do you do, and how do you do it? But if you, for the listeners that own a commercial building, and now it's changed, anything over $500,000 in purchase price, you really qualify for this. So instead of writing your building off, essentially the 39-year straight line method, which is the normal accounting method in the United States, a lot of people don't know that there's another pathway in the tax code that allows property owners to take a much more rapid depreciation schedule. Therefore, you can write your building off over 5 years, as opposed to depreciating your building over 39 years for commercial property, and then multifamily, it's 27 and a half. So why would you let the IRS hold on to your money for 27 and a half years or 39 years when you can get it in literally 5 years? So they allow you to take this accelerated depreciation where you can write off your building in a much more rapid format. Therefore, you get this front-loaded depreciation. You can use that then to offset income for the next 20 years. And there's all these little moving parts within the study that we perform. There's a blend of accounting, there's a blend of engineering, and there's a blend of legal that goes into these studies to do it right. So the IRS finally published the IRS Technique and Guidelines back in 2004. And that's really kind of become our business Bible. We follow that. Therefore, we don't have any issues with the IRS. This is not considered aggressive. It's basically your money. It is in the law. You can utilize it. Unfortunately, CPAs, not unfortunately, they understand depreciation very, very well. They just don't offer this type of service in-house because you have the engineering piece, you have the legal piece, so they outsource a specialized company like mine to go in there, work with their clients, carve out that money, and deliver that money. And it creates, now I'll get into a couple things too, even with the CARES Act, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. Every time there's a new act, this piece of the legislation gets enhanced. I don't know why, but it just continues to be the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
And, it's even in a down economy, which we can touch on, obviously there's opportunity in a down economy, and we call them COVID concessions. People are still buying buildings. Maybe they were on the sidelines in 2019, and now they're going back, and that owner of that building is saying, oh my God, I was a little overpriced. I'm going to come down, $200,000. And then my clients and Jeff knows this too, he's probably seeing this as well, are buying that building. Now, we definitely had a slowdown, but I'm starting to see this, kind of this, people are kind of waiting. They're hopefully, they're thinking, oh, it's going to go down more and more and more and more after the election, which it probably will. So that's the first piece. Okay, that's the real estate side, and then I'll just touch on one more piece. And this has been in the code for a long time. It just went permanent about 2 years ago, which is the R&D.
Can I make one quick comment before you jump into that?
Yeah.
I just want to zoom out and highlight, because the beautiful part about interviews are they last forever. I just want to highlight that. To me, it's so important pre-COVID and post-COVID that companies invest in resources, and you are such a prime example in your New York Times, Wall Street Journal review of what you just talked about. Why every company not only needs an accountant and an attorney, but an expert of what you're talking about. The power of experts and mentorships and the investment in companies, so you don't make mistakes and you go in eyes wide open, I think is so critical for day-to-day growth and to scale a business and having more working capital, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to just interject that for one quick second. So for those that are listening and saying, well, I don't know if I need it, my accountant is this, and then my attorney said that, like, you need experts with eyes that can save you time and money and stress and headaches and heartache. So, all right, go on.
I'll add one more piece of that too. And the thing is with Terry is that, and what he does, there are so many people that have no idea to even ask about this particular resource. So it's so important what we're talking about, and that we're getting this information out there, because it's a huge savings, it's a huge benefit, and and people just don't know so much about it. So it's just
we're just a piece of the financial puzzle. Just like your CPA, just like your attorney, just like your broker, just like your advisor. We just come in and we see where we can get this money for these transactions or businesses. And we can identify certain. We have certain tools that can identify very quickly. Do you qualify for $1 or $1 million?
Right.
So there's layers.
Yeah. So I didn't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to the importance of okay. So go ahead. Number 2.
Okay. So number 2 is the research and development tax credit, and this is for companies, growth companies that are making things. They're improving upon their processes. They're let's say a tool and design shop. They could be a bakery that they have a formula. It could be a prototype company. It could be a technology company. It could be a company developing apps and software. Anything that they're improving upon their process, they can qualify for what's called research and development tax credits. And what's the beautiful about this? These are dollar for dollar credits. You get them every year. Once you're qualified, then every year, based on your hiring, based on new projects you're launching, even projects that never even got off the ground, the IRS will compensate you for those, and it's tied to your payroll. And there's some moving parts within that. But companies that have probably like even $1 million a year, it can go to this low. $1 million a year in payroll potentially can qualify up to hundreds of millions of dollars in annual sales. But this is an area that's very technical as well. This is an area that we partner with CPA firms around the country to do. And we come in and we'll kind of look at what they're doing and see how much money is available. And these are usually 6-figure tax credits. And sometimes there's refunds, because we can go back 3 years if they have never taken the credit. And then that will actually kick out a refund check from the IRS plus interest within the business. So, and then we do some hiring incentives, but there's we're brought in, we do a discovery, we see, okay, boom, 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 you're doing this, you own this building. And a lot of times we can go back 20 years in some cases on the real estate tax. Yeah, and we don't have to file for in that particular, some of the stuff you do not have to amend return. So some of the listeners might be like, oh my God, I can't go back and disrupt past tax return. It'd be a mess, right? We have investors. It would just be a nightmare. So some of this stuff we file a change in accounting, and the IRS will allow a one-time catch-up on some of these tax incentives.
So Terry, let me, normally we kind of talk about this a little bit later. I just think it's important, to people that are listening. What would you say to somebody who's watching this that, who are your ideal clients? Who are people that you think should be analyzing their situation and contacting you? That are out there listening to this and thinking to themselves, like, there's no way, like, I own a building, but there's no way for me to, take advantage of this kind of situation. For everybody that's out there watching this, do you think should be somebody to contact you, and what, in what particular scenario, and and whatnot?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we do a lot of pro bono work. So you can reach out to me. We'll be happy to look at your situation and then put together a benefit analysis for you at no cost. But essentially, Jeff, to answer your question, anybody that is bought a property, looking to buy a property, looking to build, maybe they want to construct, a project or a building, we can be brought in on the beginning stages of that project to really make sure it's tax friendly. There's a lot of things we can do in terms of construction. We'll make sure that it's maximizing all of the depreciation components that are available. So anybody that has real estate, whether it's a big portfolio, and whether they're about to buy their first multifamily investment property, because as you know, Jeff, you're seeing you and I have a lot of similar clients. People are trying to maybe move some money out of the market, maybe diversify a little bit, and start getting involved in these syndications. We see this all the time. We help a lot of syndication type operations, with their investors, because the investors can benefit on the K1s from depreciation on the whole asset of what we do from the cost segregation standpoint. So yeah, anybody that has, if your business is still rolling, it's not sitting empty, or maybe your employees are starting to come back to work, and the game plan is to get them back to work. You still maybe are considered essential. You're manufacturing. We still have a lot of clients that are booming in this downturn. I mean, it's just crazy what we see. And we'd be happy to look at anything to do with cost savings and putting more cash in your pocket. Because at the end of the day, cash is king. Now, with these unprecedented times that we've been through, there's so many businesses that are on a lifeline right now that could use. They're out of their PPP money. Now they're like, now what? We can't get any more financing. Let's use tax and credits, tax incentives to be a tool to take us through this next, 24 months or however long we're going to be in this little.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. So let's talk about this as you as a business owner. We got Grant Cardone in the back. We're looking at 10x, right? So as a business owner in today's world, right? We're sitting here. It's mid-September. We've been 6 months basically since mid-March when everything changed. How are you looking at your business differently today and adapting as far as the growth of your business, and just how you're growing your company?
Doing more stuff like this, really honestly, trying to get the word out. I'm launching my podcast soon, as I mentioned. Being on these shows can just kind of help push the message of, hey, there are some other solutions. Trying to just get the word out. I think more and more, maybe some of the clients that we had that were on, buying buildings have maybe slowed down in that regard. They want everyone there's still a portion of our client base that are sitting on the sidelines until the election. They're waiting to see what's going to happen. I mean, we all are. So just in the midst of that, I think just planning, I think we were able to, with our business, we part of what we do is a site visit. I mean, we have to go on site to do some of our work. We couldn't go on site in a lot of these buildings. We couldn't travel. Everything was in lockdown. So we had to come up with creative ways to do the site visits from virtually, basically. And we figured that out, and how to do that. And so I think every business out there has learned a great deal. I think a lot of businesses have probably learned how to cut costs too by working remote. We're in a whole new world now, as you guys know. I mean, I think I'm sure all your guests have probably touched on certain things, but this is the norm now. I mean, I have coffee online now. I don't go to sit belly to belly anymore and sit with Jeff and be asked about stuff. I mean, we go on a virtual, and this is like, I got my coffee here. This is normal right now. I think it's across the, it's kind of interesting what we're seeing in some of these other states as well, where these people don't have to pay $5,000 a month to live in New York anymore. They can still keep their job and go maybe live down in Florida on the beach and work remote from their house and still be impactful to their company. And it's a win-win for the company, a win-win for the employee.
I want to jump into a little bit of, you said you're starting a podcast, which I love to hear. I think one of the things COVID did is it pushed everybody to get current with just how they're looking at their business, their 3-year plan, their marketing. Content and education is king in the sales world today and moving forward, right? People are moving in. People go to buy a car today, they're fully educated. People want to be educated more than ever before in different ways from companies. To me,
right.
Every company in the world is a media company, right? And how is that company providing content to their specific audience on their specific niche? And so I love that you're doing a podcast, and I just want to talk about the drive to, a lot of times people think, well, how do I use a podcast to grow my business? How do I use a podcast to grow my sales? So what was your mindset? I just want to dive a little bit deeper into that. Why a podcast? When some people think they're oversaturated, I think, we haven't even scratched the surface.
Well, I think, like you said, everybody should be a media company. And the best way to get your message out is let people know who you are, your personality. I mean, you can really build relationships fast. If somebody kind of resonates with you just being on the show or listening, there's hey, these guys are good guys. And probably, the same thing you've experienced, John, with your consistency doing this and how you're doing it. I'm sure it's impacted your business in a positive way. So during the COVID, everybody had a lot of time to sit and think, and reevaluate. As I'm walking at night, every night I'm walking and I'm just thinking, what else am I going to do? Everybody's in shutdown. It's just crazy.
Right.
So one of those that came out of that was, how do I get myself? And shame on me. I've never even done a Facebook Live. I mean, and I think about that. I'm that is crazy.
So is this your first Facebook Live, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube Live?
I think this is because a lot of times I've been on a lot of podcasts, but
all right.
So I was a little nervous this morning. I had to, get up and make sure I did the hair. Got a haircut last night, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff's big on the hairdo. So
did I. I just got
I wish I could be big on the hairdo, fellas. I get a haircut. I literally get
a low maintenance tip.
I come home with a haircut. My wife and my kids, they're like, "Where have you been?" I said, "I got a haircut." They're like, "We can't tell."
Oh man, that's funny. So yeah, Lady Jane's opened back up, so that was good. I'm back in business. So that was this, definitely. So I reached out to somebody that could, actually really held my hand to help me. There's people out there, guys. It's not as frightful as people might think. And once you start doing this, it's the more authentic you are. I'm always, it's got to be perfect and all this stuff, and you're re-recording and certain videos that I've done in the past. But it's not the case, and you can just turn on the camera, and so you're going to be seeing a lot more of me, people, coming soon to a town near you. Good. So you guys will be on my show. You guys will be on my show for sure.
But that's the key. It's imperfection is perfection, and that's what people like, right? It's and
it's real. It's a real thing.
I mean, 10 years ago, did we think we'd be doing a live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube? I'm in Ann Arbor, Jeff's in Farmington Hills, you're at home, we're in our cars, we're doing, thanks to technology, we can do it. And there's nothing perfect about it. My car is a mess, you should say, but you can only see me.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
So, Terry, you say authentic, and you're an authentic guy. You and I know each other really well, and we sell in the same circles, and we're around the same people, and your authentic self comes out when you're in person, and you're out there, you're with people, and we're schmoozing back and forth, and you're great at it, and and I've been around it, I see it, and it's something that is, again, truly authentic. So, where do you see this going as far as, new ways to, kind of show your authenticity and show people who you are, aside from doing things like this? Where do you see selling going as we get into the winter months and you can't really be around, people so much too. What are some ideas? What are some things that you're thinking as far as promoting yourself during this?
Well, obviously, I think the podcast show. I think one of the things I'm looking at our projects, and maybe you guys can even share some ideas. We're helping clients, Jeff. Like every engagement is about $250,000. I mean, we're averaging our savings per client that brings us in. And I'm, to give myself a little plug here, but it's pretty significant, in upwards of $1 million we're getting them cash back into their business, back into their bottom line, helping them set up planning for the next 5 years in terms of this. How do you leverage these? And the thing that we need to do better is to share these stories and highlight these stories and have the clients that have brought us in, get their testimonial. It's always like, gosh, I never even asked this guy to share what we did for him. I mean, and it's like, you start to think about that as a business owner. I'm like, that is the number one thing I should be doing every day, all day, is highlight. So my message to other small businesses out there, make sure you're leveraging your existing client base. Don't be so fast to move on to the next client and you just moved right past. You didn't even follow up with the guy that you just helped. With what you guys do too. I'm sure there's amazing stories that you haven't even showcased. And I think that's across the board. I think we're entrepreneurs. We're on to the next. We're on to the next. We're on to the next. We don't slow down and really take a moment and say, "Wow, I just got this." Let's walk through that and showcase that, and maybe somebody else will resonate, not with me, but with that entrepreneur that was running that company with all the stresses, and then they had no idea that these things, these credits existed, and boom, now they're over the hump. And maybe that was the difference between getting financing or not, or hiring those 3-4 employees back to the company, or buying that piece of equipment, or rolling out a new project that they couldn't do because of their capital budget constraints. So I think that's just, to answer your question, Jeff, I get passionate about that because we're not doing it. We do it a little bit, but we need to do it 10x.
Yeah, I mean, just a comment, like you need to do that. Sorry, John. I mean, again, it's so important what you do, and for somebody to take a minute to kind of have you analyze their situation and just pick up the phone and make that phone call. I think it's so important, for everyone listening here to reach out. Maybe this works for you, maybe it doesn't, but there's no reason not to try and use this as one of the tools in your arsenal, like we were talking about before. So
I'll make one comment on that. I'll make one comment on that real quickly. Yeah. Have a business plan per client. I think a lot of times we get lost in our 3-year, companies get lost in their 3-year business plan, and it's very metric based and boom, 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 boom. And I'm all for that. But there's also, okay, here's your top clients, or here's your clients. What should now we're kind of zoom out for a minute, create a business plan for that client, and then repurpose things that you do with that client. So there's a lot behind that, but I think pausing for a moment and doing that is key. Yeah.
I think it's just all about planning, being smart. Obviously the tax code has 70,000 pages. So how do you decipher? How it's just like mind-boggling. I will just tell you now that because of some of the new tax acts that have come out recently, there's layers now how cost segregation works. Some of this other bonus depreciation, repair and maintenance incentives, 179D, which is the energy program. If anybody's put LED lighting in their building, they can actually qualify for 60 cents to $1.80 a square foot in another federal program. So, and they all kind of intertwine. So it gets, not to get too confusing, but there's layers of these economic stimulus, programs that are available. People just need to raise their hand and be a little more, in the know. And then obviously we can help them through some of those questions, working with their CPA. But it's exciting to see that it's out there, and it's exciting to see some of these companies are taking advantage of it.
All right, Terry, you ready for the 1-minute speed round?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, minus 10x. Grant, I feel like we interviewed kind of Grant Cardone in spirit today. I love it. Minus the 10x rule. Favorite book, sales book, and why?
Oh man. This one, right? Well, I just started reading this one again. Think and Grow Rich is probably my best
The best.
I started reading.
The best.
I started reading this right here, Rich Dad's Prophecy.
Yeah. He's
So,
good. All right.
And this one.
Terry,
Let's finish that one.
That's a good one.
Terry, what would you tell your 20-year-old self if you had a chance?
Wow. I would say be a little bit more conservative with the spending, but I would say surround myself with people that I probably would want to take out some older folks that have maybe a little more successful and wise, and spend a little more time with them, pick their brain. And I really learned. I really learned about it's not what you make anymore. It's what you do. And that's, my dad kept pounding that. And I never listened until I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The one thing people need to do to finish 2020, salespeople need to do to finish the year strong.
Oh man, I think just step up your game. Don't sit on the sidelines. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Just sit back down right now, reset your goals, and just go for it. Talk to more people, do more Zooms, get your podcast. If you've got something unique about yourself and what you do for a living, you got to figure out a way to share that with the world. It's the only way. And by the way, if you're not doing this, you're missing. This is the new world, by the way. This is the new selling world. You guys are on it. I commend you. And I'm a little behind that ball as well. So I just got to catch up. But I would encourage people to really figure out what their message is, and just get somebody to help you. There's people that they don't charge very much, by the way. This is not an expensive venture to help get set up and get your videos going and put together a plan on how you can get out to the internet world and get exposure.
Terry, tell them how they can get a hold of you.
Well, I'm on all the social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You can reach out. Our website is coresolutionsgroup.net. I see it scrolling down at the bottom. And you can also, I'll give you
stuff here.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said this is professional stuff. We got your stuff scrolling right across.
Oh, I love what you guys are doing. This is awesome. I'm learning. I'm like writing stuff down here. I'm like, I want my stuff to scroll.
I give John all the credit.
But I can give you. should I leave my number? Is that something that's?
Sure. Yeah, do it.
Okay.
Up.
So if you guys want to reach out, just feel free to reach out. 248-210-4843. 248-210-4843. Jeff knows how to get a hold of me as well, and love to chat. So appreciate you guys having me.
Terry, really appreciate you coming on, and anybody out there who's listening, get that may be in a position to take advantage of Terry's services. Just pick up the phone, reach out, make a phone call.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
He's amazing at what he does. He is somebody that's out there looking to help and figure out ways to find solutions for you that will save you some money. So I commend you on what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job, Terry, and everybody should reach out for sure.
Yeah, I love it. Terry, thanks, man.
Keep up the great work, guys.
Yeah, you too. Good luck on your podcast, and keep doing great things and saving people. Nobody today did this, like $1 million.
$1 million.
It's actually $1.5 billion.
Right. All right, Terry. Thanks, man. This was great. Appreciate your time.
All right.
Thanks, Terry.
See you guys. Drive safe.